Welcome to podcast number 198. Only one more podcast until we hit 200. That's super cool. So we're going to see what this next series brings with it. But for today, let me ask you, do you have faith? Stay with us.
This is the Elevate Construction Podcast, delivering remarkable content for workers, leaders, and companies in construction wanting to take their next step. Get ready to step out of your comfort zone with Jason Schroeder as he encourages you to do better, live a remarkable life, and expect more. Let's go.
Welcome, everybody. We have a little bit different podcast for you tonight. Tonight, we're going to talk about faith. Now, we're not going to talk about religion and we're not going to talk about spirituality, but we are going to talk about faith because faith is a pretty cool word. So we're going to get right into it tonight. I only have a couple of things that I want to cover. Number one, I'm going to start bringing in every now and then some really cool quotes. So over my years of working in construction, I've collected quotes. One of my most favorite people that I used to work for now owns a design build business up in the Northeast. He used to send quotes out every day, and I would distill down my favorite ones. I bet you we went through, I may have received thousands of quotes from him because he did that for a couple of years. So really great quotes, which actually ties into the topic today. It's funny how this kind of happens. I don't know if it's providence or my subconscious, but he used to send out quotes, and then I distilled down the ones that I liked. I had a little quote of the day club type thing for a while that I really appreciated doing. And so these are some of my favorite ones. Some of us have created imaginary limits in our mind. There is literally a genius locked up inside each of us. Don't ever let anyone convince you otherwise. And that's from Gene R. Cook. So let me say that one more time. Some of us have created imaginary limits in our minds. There is literally a genius locked up inside each of us. Don't ever let anyone convince you otherwise. So that ties in perfectly with our topic today because sometimes people don't have faith in what they can become. So let me first start out with what am I excited about? I'm excited about the expansion of Elevate Construction. We are working with some fantastic people and some fantastic clients. And most of the time, the people that are reaching out to me need help with a couple of things. As a region, they want to really get some operational excellence and scale in the right way, or they want to build their teams or build their leadership team, or they want to implement Last Planner or Scrum, and they also want and need Takt planning to go with it, or they want training for their schedulers, their superintendents, their project teams, and they want some kind of massive training, or they want coaching. So there's probably now at this point, and I'm not bragging, I'm saying this is exciting and we need to keep this on a roll. 8 boot camps scheduled. Now, when I usually think of a boot camp, I'm thinking about 3 to 4 months of preparation and 6 months of certification and like a week-long immersive boot camp. These boot camps can range from 1 day, 2 days to the full event, right? So I'm excited about the fact that we're expanding. And the next thing, and I've got some strategic trainings that I'm taking. One I told you about, Tony Robbins' Business Mastery, some other programs, some business coaching, and some mentors that I'm working with right now that are going to help me with advice and strategies to scale the business. And when I say scale the business, meaning serve more people. This isn't about making money. This is about, it's about doing both. But it's about serving more people. So that's what I'm excited about in life right now. We've got some other books coming out, which I'm hoping are really big hits. So let's go ahead and talk really briefly about feedback from listeners. Here's one, and I'm not sure if I've said this one before. I don't think I have, but it says, hey, so I'm working on a trip trying to catch up on my podcast as I'm about 15 days behind. I wanted to thank you for producing this content. You are a beast for putting out one a day. Listening to one a day, plus the other podcasts I listen to, is hard to keep up with in the best way possible. I've been with you since episode 20-ish, and I'm cheering you on in both prayer and promotion. I know you talk a lot about Takt planning versus P3 or P6, but I've had a hard time imagining this. For one reason, I am the guy that doesn't believe the schedule a GC gives you is correct because they're usually unrealistic. I have developed my own schedule program. So here's my question. As a builder, What milestones should I be using as a leading indicator to ensure that I'm getting to the site at the right time and not fabricating materials and holding the material too long, meaning that's waste. Right now I use concrete placements and start dates for formwork, but there seems to be a lot of variation within that where I use my gut feeling. I'm trying to standardize my sheet to be used by all PMs. Also, if you have any suggestions on my sheet, please let me know. Thanks. So I really appreciate this comment. I may have simply responded to it directly and not put it on a podcast, but this is a problem. And this is the purpose of my next book, actually, that I'm writing with Spencer Easton right now. And I'm hoping, like, we're going to shoot for having this out in a month on print. I'm going to start working up the graphics here in a couple of days. And we're finished with the technical writing, and editing is like well under progress. But the problem is this, and I want to be clear about this. Here's the saying that we need to remember. Flow where you can, pull where you can't, and push when you must. CPM is a push system. Last Planner is a pull system. Scrum is a pull system. Takt is a flow system. So good, better, and best, right? Best is Takt. Better is Last Planner and Scrum. And good, it's not even that good, but is CPM and our push systems, right? So flow where you can, pull where you can't, and push where you must. And so my advice is to get general contractors used to Takt planning and to start using that as the governing system to rule all other systems on site. I have a neat little analogy in the book that actually Spencer gave me from the Lord of the Rings, where it talked about, one ring to rule them all. The ring in construction that should rule all other rings is the ring of flow, the ring of Takt planning. And if there's anybody, and so right now, one of the things I'm excited about is people will call me and they'll say, hey, I'm implementing Last Planner and I'm having a hard time. Can you help me? My first thing is, yeah, I can help you. Do you need Last Planner? Most of the time, they need to start with Takt systems and then head in a better direction. So that's some feedback. The person that gave this to me, amazing. I would really like to see you work with a general contractor using Takt planning and see how it goes. I'm convinced you would love it. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Here's the conflict. I find your lack of faith disturbing. So for any of you, before I say it and here in just a minute, can get my movie quote here, kudos to you. I'll send you something free if you let me know about it. But that's from Star Wars. So Darth Vader said that. He said, I find your lack of faith disturbing. And he's using the Force, and people were dissing him in this instance for using the Force and using his old Jedi tricks, or now his Sith tricks. And these other people were basically tearing it down. And he said, I find your lack of faith disturbing. So the same thing to you. I find your lack of faith disturbing. Let me tell you just a quick story to kind of head in this direction. I was telling somebody the other day that most of my superiors throughout my career thought they owned me. Meaning there were two really good general superintendents that I worked for that when I was like, hey, I'm ready for my next step and I need to go here or here, they got really mad. And one of them said about the other, until it happened to him actually, was, oh yeah, he thinks he owns you, because you're such a good resource, right? And then if I've ever done that, if I've ever said, hey, I need to take my next step in my journey, and I've only left companies twice to go to a different company in my 22 years, and I've left the industry as a whole running projects to give back and to start a company. So I guess that's 3 times. Every time that's happened, somebody's gotten mad, whether I did it the right way or the wrong way. And I've done things the wrong way, but people think they own you. Those are the types of mentors you want to stay away from. The mentors that I've always enjoyed are the people that believe that I can be whatever I think that I can be. The mentors that believed that I could start a business. The mentors that believed that I could have 11 kids. The mentors that believed that I would, be able to do really neat leadership callings at church. These are the people that you want to hang around with. The people are like, no, keep your 9 to 5, stay with your retirement. Or no, you can't do that. That's not very smart. Or no, I don't think you're going to be able to do that. Or no, you need to stay here. Or no, or no, or no. I've been surprised. And this is really interesting. The people that I thought were mentors 2 years ago, I am finding are now unqualified to be mentors. Now they have some really limiting and, quite frankly, disgusting beliefs. Most of the people I thought were mentors were trying to keep me in the system. And my point in telling you this story is that I have had to learn to stay with mentors that have started businesses, that have taken risks, that are giving. If I ask somebody that's, a long-term career person, hey, what do you think about me starting a business? They're going to say no. They're going to say, no, that's a stupid idea. You're going to lose, there's all these risks with it. It's a dumb idea. I wouldn't do it. Don't do it, Jason. This is foolish. Those are not the mentors you should be hanging out with. You need to be hanging out with the people that have done the thing that you are put here on this earth to do. So that's my opening story. Let's talk about faith. Faith is not what people think it is. The people immediately associate it with religion, which you can do, with spirituality, with this and that, or all over the place, just different definitions. Faith is a principle of action. And I am going to sound a little bit like your preacher or your bishop or your pastor or whatever, but just let me do that for a minute, because this talks directly to us at work and how we can show up. Faith is essentially this. It's having someone to believe in, knowing what it is you want, knowing it's possible, wanting it bad enough, and working for it. That's faith, okay? And so let's just use a common analogy, even if you don't like it, right? Let's say that you are a Christian and you believe in Jesus. So you have the person, and according to that belief system, a perfect person, and you know that you want salvation, right? You know it's possible through the teachings in your upbringings. You need to want it bad enough to then work for it and keep the commandments and head in that direction. That's faith. Okay? Now here's another analogy. Turning on the lights with a light switch. I'm sitting right now 6 feet away from the light switch. And if I want to head over to the door, I have to have faith to go ahead and turn that light switch on next to that door. I have to, know that it's possible. I have to want to do it, and I have to work for it. So let me ask you a question. Do I have absolute knowledge that I can turn that light switch on until I go through the process of faith? No. I could drop dead on the way over there. I could be dreaming. I could be in the Matrix. Lots of different things. I could never get up out of my seat. Everything is faith. The only time that I know that I'm going to do it is after I've done it, right? So let's go ahead and do that right now. I won't leave my microphone, but I'm imagining this, okay? I know that I can go turn the light switch on, okay? So I have that. Do I want it bad enough? Yeah, I really want some light in here. So I really have to work on that desire. Yes, I do want to go turn the light switch on. What's the next step? If you guessed I had to get up and work at it and get up off my seat and go over and move my finger and turn the light switch on, then you would be right. And then, do I know for certain? Yes, I do, because I just experienced the light going on. But everything up until when I turned the light switch on was faith. Everything up until that point was faith, because faith is having someone or something to believe in, knowing it's possible, wanting it bad enough, and working for it. And then you do not have the miracle, you do not have the action, you don't have the sure knowledge until after the trial of your faith. Everything in this world moves with faith. You driving your car, you getting married, you getting up in the morning, you brushing your teeth, you heading towards a career, setting a goal, being born, conceiving, dying. Everything on this earth runs off of the principle of faith. Everything, every single thing. And there is no, I knew that for an absolute fact, for anything until you go through those key steps. And so why would that be any different? Why would we fight it with religion? Why would we fight it with spirituality? Why would we fight it with work? Why would we fight it with goals? Why would we fight it with anything? And if somebody's like, oh, well, I believe in science and I believe in just immutable facts. Well, nobody knew any of those things. Nobody knew about gravity, the experimentation there. Nobody knew about these scientific achievements. Nobody knew about math until they exercised faith. And now we know some things for a certainty. But thank God, or thank goodness, or thank nature, or thank whoever you want to thank, for those people that acted on their faith. And so everything in your life works off of that principle, especially your life, the design of your life, and your career, and who you become. So why does this matter? You need to figure out who you want to be. Most of the time, we don't have very much faith in spirituality. We don't have very much faith in religion. Fine, do whatever you want. But we also don't have any faith in our progress. And that is where it's going to hold us back. So you can be anything you want to be. You can be rich. You can be poor. You can start a business. You can change jobs. You can have this position. Everything is acting on faith. Do you know somebody, a mentor that you can believe in, that has been there, done that, that is qualified? Do you know what you want even before that? Do you know it's possible in your heart? Do you want it bad enough? And are you willing to work for it? That's really what it comes down to. And so why am I telling you this tonight? Why am I taking the risk of having a podcast that is titled Faith? And why am I going to spread this message for the hundreds of people tomorrow that will listen to it? Thank you, by the way. Why am I doing this? Because I am a business owner and I am getting ready to scale. And I have a family of 13 people for whom I am providing without having an employer do that for me. And I'm heading into a direction where I can live my passion, being with people and training, coaching, and consulting, and have the financial resources every now and then to go to the lake or to start a training facility and change people's lives and to donate to foster kids and all of these things, right? I am doing that now. And I'm only, actually, I shouldn't tell you how old I am, but I'm only 39 years old. So I have lived a remarkable life. I've at least got another 40 years to go. What am I going to do with it? It's going to be amazing. I've got 40 years minimum, unless I die, of owning a business, living my dream, being fulfilled, and serving others. Okay? What does that look like for you? What do you want? Because you can get there. And it all started for me, not from the people that were like, oh, you have to have retirement. You have to have a day job. Don't take risks. Do this, and this first. You'll never be successful in business. But I actually learned this from a couple of people. I've already told you about one person in particular, Ryan Young, one of my favorite persons on earth, that said, you can do anything. He was like, Jason, I don't think you're just going to change this job or this company. I think you're going to change the industry. And he told me that enough to where I believed it. I believe it now. People have told me, you're going to change the lives of thousands of people. I'm not bragging, but I've already done that. I've had so many people go through boot camps where their lives have changed and helped them. I'm already doing that. And I'm heading towards being able to change the lives of hundreds of thousands of people. This was all based on faith. Do I have the right mentors? Do I know why I was put here on earth? Do I know that it is possible? And that's the key point. Most of you, when you're like, yeah, I'd like to start a business, or I'd like to go do a partnership, or I'd like to go be a university professor, or whatever. The problem is you know somebody and you want it, but you don't believe it's possible because you still have that negative self-talk, or you're listening to the wrong stupid people in life that you shouldn't be listening to, right? And, you may even want it bad enough, but are you working for it based on your knowledge that it can happen? And so this is my point. If you want to be a director and right now you're a craft worker, you need to have faith. If you want to start a business, then you need to have faith. If you want to start a charitable organization, then you need to have faith. If you want to start getting into your niche market and your niche position, you need to have faith. But the thing that's going to hold you back is not realizing that it's possible. And so I want you to realize tonight that the risks that you think you have are perceived risks. They are not that real. You do not even know even a portion yet of who you really want to be. You haven't spent enough time thinking about it. You know people that could get you to where you want to be once you know ultimately why you're put on this earth. You are not networking with them well enough. I'm not criticizing you. I'm just creating a gap so that you can choose on your own to close the gap. You think that it's a lot less possible than it actually is. Take, for instance, right now, publishing a book. Right now, if I told you you could publish a book, you would think that it's almost nearly impossible. But what if I told you that I have written a book before where the amount of hours that I spent were about 40 to 50 hours, and that it only took a day and a half to get the graphics and to get everything else put together for it, and to make sure that it was edited with our editor, and the cost was negligible, and that I was able to upload that within a series of a month and a half or 2 months, and that I know the process. It's all mapped out. Okay. Could you now imagine yourself in a more likely position of writing a book when you know, hey, I can ask Jason what the websites were. I can ask him who his editors were. I can get a subject. He can help me outline it. I know how to do it on Google Docs. I can follow his process. I know all of these things. There's no roadblocks in my way. I have the information. Let's go. I could probably get this done in 3 months tops. Okay, right? How much more possible is that? You see this key? You have to know somebody that you believe in or something that you believe in. Know what you want even before that. Know it's possible, want it bad enough, and work for it. Everything works off of the principle of faith. Everything. So wherever you're headed, you have this unique ability in life to go bless key people. You have talents that only you have, right? That the world needs. And that sounds like a cat poster, but here's why it's on my mind. I took a bunch of, not just me, but a bunch of leaders. We took a youth group up the mountain the other day, and we hiked up halfway, and then we looked out over the city of Phoenix with all the beautiful lights in the crisp breeze. And we talked about the fact that you're always going to have a next segment. We were only halfway up the mountain. You're always going to have a next segment to climb. The higher you get, the more you can see, the broader your expanse, the more people you're going to influence. But you have to take those steps every day. You have to see the top of the mountain, know somebody that's been there, want it bad enough, know it's possible, and start taking the action step by step to get to the top of the mountain. Once you've reached the top, you'll then turn around and you'll see there's another segment and another and another. And you are constantly ascending higher and higher and higher. And as you constantly ascend, you're bringing other people with you. I one time, and you might not think my podcast is very good. It might not be. Like, I'll give it to you. I want more music in here. I want more interviews. I want to do a better job with my solo stuff. I want a better format. I want to speak better. I want to do all these things, and I'm going to get there. I might be at podcast 500 before you think this is a good podcast. But I've started, and I thought that I could never do it. Now that I have the equipment, the microphone, the software, the service, all, the intro and the outro through Fiverr, I'm like, I can't believe I didn't start this 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Everything works off of the principle of faith. And so you need to find out what you want. The current condition is people have no faith. They have no path. They're not paying attention to mentors. They don't think it's possible, and they're not working for it. So here's a challenge. You must believe. You have to get a good mentor. You have to really know it's possible. And that's the key where most people fall down. If you don't think it's possible, you're wrong. If you don't think there's a mentor out there, you're wrong. If you don't want it, that's your deal. And if you're not working for it, then you're only wasting time. So that's my challenge. I'm saying this because I love you. If it's hard talk, I apologize. I'm not attempting to offend you. I'm just saying, if there are people in your life that are saying, no, you can't do it, you can't. I'm saying you can, and you're not doing it. And if you want to close that gap, it's up to you. On we go.
Please join us next time in elevating the entire construction experience for workers, leaders, and companies coast to coast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to share with your construction colleagues and help us spread the word by rating, subscribing, and leaving a review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time on the Elevate Construction Podcast.